Your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Ask Level podcast with Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. This podcast, as usual, brought to you by our friends at Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Level, this is the last one of these we do where we're not within a game week. We've got plenty of questions, so we'll get to a lot of questions from the audience today. We've got maybe no more tortillas around Jones Stadium, new uniforms to talk about, position battles, the end of an era, lots of stuff we'll dive into. But are you ready for your Saturdays to be filled up with football, Chris?
Yeah, yes. And Sundays
And Sundays.
and Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And then when we get into like October, I think it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays too.
Maction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have plenty of it. Plenty of it. Yeah. I mean, heck, high school football is right there.
That's what I'm saying,
Fridays,
Fridays, yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're close. We're close. And we have Farmageddon this week at the in Ireland on Saturday. Did you see the I think it was K-State's tweet about the I don't know what they said, and it was rolling to Dublin or something, but it was the picture of the equipment truck loading up. A lot of people made fun of it because what are you going to drive across the giant pond? But you know, they got to drive the equipment to the airport too. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, gotta put it on a plane, cargo plane.
Cargo plane. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So almost there, but Level. Let's go ahead and start with some football chatter. Or I guess Big 12 chatter. There was a clear, I guess, target on Texas Tech this week when it came to a new emphasis on a old rule of throwing things on the field. The athletics directors got together in the normal meeting, talked about the throwing things on the field, and basically they are going to enforce against Texas Tech's tortilla tradition in the future, and that has gained quite a bit of attention this week.
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech was being singled out a bit here, some Mickey Mouse stuff. I mean, this rule is it's really about debris and water bottles and beer bottles and all the stuff that has stopped games across the country. But I think in the midst of the Big 12 conversations, I think that the Colorado game last year and the Iowa State game, the one where Garibay kicked the field goal and you kind of moved hey, everybody in this section, you're out, or you got to move or something, that whatever was um, officiated that particular night. Those are two administrations that I think that kind of poked at Texas Tech a little bit. And I've got my opinions on it, but a tortilla never hurt anybody. I mean, I just think that there's a couple of points I wanted to make here. One, I'm not suggesting that this tech fan base is perfect or that they don't do some of the things, or it's kind of this reputation is kind of taken on a life of its own.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do like that there is this reputation because it makes it's like the mystique of a tough place to play and like look out, and all this stuff. I mean, Kenny Dillingham like praised it, was like, this is one of the best environments I have ever had a team in,
Sure.
like it was phenomenal. I'm jealous. I wish ours was similar. There was no, it was just very passionate and all this stuff. Um, and then the Colorado thing, it's like, do we get to, are there calls made on players for like engaging with the crowd and taunting and like with ball boys and all the
Yeah.
stuff because
Yeah.
they were that was totally run amok on that sideline.
Yep.
Okay, just embarrassingly so. And and then the second point I wanted to make is that some of the battery throwing accusations, some of the folklore that is now passed along as fact by other fan bases is hilarious to me. I've been on the sidelines for 16 years. I've had stuff not thrown at me, but like I've seen stuff thrown, I've seen things said, I've seen behavior. Some venues police it harder than others, but yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is yeah. There's layers to this, and anyway. But I think that the Tech fan base will handle this as petty as possible, and I'm here for it. They've
I don't
been
think you're
shipping
wrong.
them, they've been shipping them to the Big 12 office. Um, it's going to be a marketing opportunity for outlets in town and online. It's going to
Sure.
be a sponsorship opportunity, and there'll be more thrown at opening kickoff than ever before. You've rallied the troops. Hashtag 15 to 1.
Hmm.
So there's some positives, I guess, there too. So we'll see. But yeah, it was the news we didn't realize we were getting, or we didn't
Yeah.
really need. You know.
Didn't need. I think that's a good way to
Yeah.
put it. Well, I do wonder, Level. I believe it this way. I maybe it's just jaded Red Raider fan. I mean, this is got to at least be partially stemming out of jealousy and anger towards the Red Raiders, right? This 15 to 1 vote. I mean, there are plenty of schools out there that are not pleased with how Texas Tech or jealous of how Texas Tech has operated this offseason in terms of spending money and quote unquote buying a team. Do you think that has anything to do with this?
I don't know if that is the impetus of this, but it's very clear to me that, and I think this is what frustrated your athletic director and the pertinent parties involved with Texas Tech is that somebody took it upon themselves
Hmm.
to let everybody know about the 15 to 1, and they were taking a shot. Yeah, they were taking a shot, and there probably are plenty of folks that are jealous or frustrated or sick of hearing about it or whatever.
Sure.
And these are the folks that are going to be rooting against you and
Yep.
all those things. But maybe some shred of truth to what you suggest. But I just think it was somebody's opportunity to kind of needle the old Red Raiders a little bit. But I think that kind of rallies the troops a bit too. And I want to make it clear, Colorado, Iowa State.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you believe level will happen as far as the approach from Texas Tech moving forward? And do you think we see 15-yard penalties against the Red Raiders?
I would hope no penalties. I do think that you'll embrace the opening kickoff.
Yeah,
You're allowed another freebie before somebody's got to say, "Hey, please, everybody, don't don't do this," or you're going to hurt the team. But I also don't think that Joey's going to get into. I think Joey's got a good relationship with the league office and the officials. However, I think Joey has plenty of issues with them as well.
sure.
And he was there. He wasn't the actual head coach at the time, but he was there and witnessed the whole Iowa State scenario.
Hmm.
He had been hired. He just wasn't the acting head coach then. And so, but I think he feels like there's plenty of flaws within the league system. And the Colorado game is a great example, actually. Um, some face masks, some hit below the waist on a QB, and no, I mean, so there was a lot that I think. So I doubt very seriously if he will raise his hand and volunteer to get on the microphone and tell everybody to chill out and calm down. I think he would want the opposite. He may go like, what was it? I'm trying to remember one of these instances that happened in the NFL. And was it the Bengals coach years ago?
Hmm.
And is like, everybody stop doing this. You're not in Cincinnati, or you're not in Cleveland. Sorry, you're not in Cleveland. Stop acting like a bunch of animals. I'm sure, was it Weich? Sam Weich, maybe? I'd have to go Google
Yes,
it to see. Am I
that's
right?
according to a quick search. That is what you're correct.
Okay.
This was in 1989, so that's
Okay, yeah. I mean, and that's a Hall of Fame, like, because it's like you're not in Cleveland.
you
Stop
don't
acting
live
like a
in
bunch of
Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
yes, yes, yes.
That's
That's
funny.
right. So, I mean, I could see if Joey is forced to like get on the mic, I could see him like taking a shot too.
Hmm.
But I don't think he wants to have anything to do with telling his fans to chill out.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
I get it. I get it. So, other piece of news that came out this week is more visual, and it's some uniforms. Texas Tech unveils its 100th anniversary uniforms, which takes some parts of several different ones from over the years, and these will be worn on homecoming against Kansas. But thoughts on those?
Well, as my son, when I send him to my son, who's a
Yeah,
senior in high school, he wrote me back and said, these are the best uniforms in college football. And I was like, I didn't know what reaction he'd be like, but I was like,
sure,
oh. So I thought they did great. Zane always does a really good job
sure.
of, and there's certain parameters you have to stay within, and you can't just reinvent the wheel here on some of this stuff. But they tapped into various eras and decades to kind of put this thing together. But yeah, I thought Gold Star, man. I thought it was solid. I hope that I hope it's not just a one-time showing for these uniforms.
Yep,
Which I think they're gonna, it's against Kansas,
yep,
that they will be donned. But yeah, but I thought, I mean, like that double T is awesome. The simplicity and the subtleness of the tip of the cap to various eras that they pulled from to kind of put that together, I thought was legit. So I was excited, and some people don't care. It's going to sell a ton of merchandise,
sure,
right?
sure.
That's also a component of this stuff. But yeah, I thought it was really clean
Yeah, sometimes it is the simple things in life that are most pleasurable for sure.
because
So I do think,
those were my favorite Under Armour uniforms. Was they're
yeah,
all the throwbacks.
I
I
agree.
thought those were hit the perfect note.
Uh,
Just yeah, and that's
I think that's why your current uniforms are the most universally well received uniforms you've had in quite a while because there's some basic to them and there's a
but there's also
throwback
some
feel
pop.
to it.
There's also some pop to it
Exactly.
too. Yeah, yeah.
It's got a little bit of everything. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some questions from the Twitter level. Leah asks, oh, actually, that's a basketball one. We'll get to that in a moment. First, Mason asks, how often do you see Leftwich using tight ends in the passing game?
80 to 90% of the time. I mean, like, yeah, I think you're going to major in it. I mean, I think that if you go look at what he did at Texas State, he puts them all over the place. And rarely do they have their hand in the ground and like a normal, down hand on the ground, like inline tight end. I think he flexes them out. He puts them in motion. He puts them in the backfield. He's got them standing up next to the O-line. I mean, there's a variety of different things which I would guess that based on what they've got with Carter and Miller at the two tight ends that they'll kind of major in this year. I think that fits what those guys do anyway. So they're just think of them as really bigger receivers. They'll have their hand down, I guess some would be my guess, but it's going to be different than last year. But that was what your skill set. I mean, you had your tight ends heavily involved in the running game last year because that's really what you needed to do to move the football. And this is a bit more of a wide open attack, but maybe that's what your personnel would dictate too.
Another Leftwich question. This one comes from Michael. It says, Level, is this the end of the air raid era? I heard Leftwich say that he's been a 50-50 coach most of the time in his career earlier this week. So will we see a lot more running than we're used to?
He did say that. And you were pretty close to that the last couple of years with Zach, who came from the air raid principles and things like that. It's all based on personnel. I actually get the sense I'd be willing to bet you at the end of the year. I bet this is like somewhere between like, let's just have fun with it. 57
Okay.
passing, maybe even 60,
Yeah, I was kind of
62.
thinking I might set the over under at 60. I mean, like right
Yeah, I
at
think this is the way your personnel is built.
yeah.
So, we'll see. Because I do have a concern about your ability to grind a game. Like if you just want to slow it down and grind it out and all that, I do have some I don't know, questions, concerns. I just don't know. You were really good at that the last 2 or 3 years around here with either Shuck running QB power or Taj or Jalen or just being able to kind of grind it out and get into that kind of game. I don't know if I necessarily see that this year. And that's to me that's a bit of a concern.
Yeah, I don't know how many games you'll be in like that, like you have the last
Well,
few years. Hopefully not as many, but
or none.
you're gonna have to get. I mean, you've got to have it in your pocket at some point. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
expect to have to win a game that's it's one of those knockdown, drag out type of more defensive games, or just go finish out a game running the football in the fourth quarter. But um, yeah, we'll see. I don't get the take. It does feel like Mack Leftwich has been a guy, at least from the little bit I've watched and paying attention to previous years. It feels like a guy that definitely adjusts to his personnel. Like you said, I think he's a guy that if he's got Cam Ward at quarterback, he's going to use Cam Ward how he needs to use him. If he's got a running quarterback, you're going to see that a lot more. If you've got stud running backs or stud receivers, you're going to go give the ball to who needs to have the ball. And I think that's what we'll see this year. But we'll see. Let's see. This one comes from Jason. It says, Level, can you let us know what position battles are currently going on in fall camp on both sides?
Oh yeah. Kicker, right tackle, corner,
Okay.
star, um, and and again, a lot of these, it's like, man, a bunch of guys are going to play anyway, so it's just a matter of what package you start out the game in, or those kinds of things. But there'll be a depth chart that gets released, and that would be where I would see the potential for the word or. Hey, it'll be this guy or this guy. It's some of these spots. I can see where right tackle is either Zambrano or Ponton. I can see where your kicker is Belenfant or Harrington, and I guess Hershey. I mean, and I could even see them going into the season with a rotation similar to what they did last year, where you're just kind of alternating, waiting for somebody to not handle it well. And I can see Curry, McCarty, or Dingle at star.
Hmm.
And probably we'll see all three of them though, and depending on the package though, right? And so it's
Right.
and then at corner, Balfour, Pollock, and I think Mo Horn. There's two starters in that group of three. I think Amir Boyd Matthews is clearly, I don't want to say clearly, but he's amongst the top four corners, but I don't know if he's pushing to start like the other guys are. So that's how I would answer that. And I don't know if your running backs will play, receivers will play. There's no, Will Hammond is not pushing Baron Morton. That's not up for debate. The defensive line, we know who the starters are, I think, but you'll get
Sure.
a pretty deep rotation there, and pretty high end rotation. It's pretty impressive. Um, yeah, but I think Brendan Jordan and Wisniewski are pretty locked in there at safety.
So still a decent amount of
Sure.
spots there, but you feel good about those
And
battles. I mean, everything you said, I think, are battles because you have good players fighting for a spot, not necessarily like you have in previous years where no one's just going and taking the job, right? Would you?
oh yeah, I mean, that's fair. You have depth and all these things. You also, like, I could say, I think Joey even answered it this way the other day when he said, "Well, tight ends one," but I mean, I think those are guys that are both going to play. It
Right.
just isn't. They're going to both play a ton, and I don't look at that as like an either or scenario. Whereas maybe a corner, maybe one guy gets a lot more of the reps than the other, but
Sure.
but also just don't know how this staff will do it. I don't know what Sheil Wood or Leftwich or their position coaches, or like what Joey's mandate is like, let's let's try to play as many people as possible,
Yeah.
or let's pare it down quite a bit. I would guess it may be more let's play as many people as possible that we can afford to play, but I don't know.
All right. Another question regarding Tech football. This one comes from Bull on Twitter. After one of Tech's best classes, NIL wins, and top transfers, is this year for a Big 12 title and playoff run, or just a first step toward becoming a true Big 12 contender and yearly playoff appearances?
Bull, like Bull.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bull Smith.
I there was a great TV character on the sitcom Night Court,
Okay.
and Bull Shannon was his name. He was like
Okay.
the big in court police officer, or the bailiff, maybe, I guess was the right term. But yeah, Bull. That's good. That's a good question on. I don't know if we know the answer to that. My thing is that I don't envision a scenario to where this is like a one time only. I think you're trying to maintain some relevance here, like long term. You're trying to swing and roll the dice and all the things within whatever you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put that. But yeah, this isn't a you're pushing as hard as you can right now, but I don't think this is a will we'll go back to not trying really hard, or anything like that. I think this is you're trying to maintain a level of consistency, and at the upper tier in a Big 12 title game challenger every single year. I mean, you want to be talked about like Iowa State and Kansas State, and like Arizona State is, like, in a consistent basis. And like Kansas State and Iowa State, even Baylor, I've played in it. TCU, they've played that game multiple times, and you just have got to crack that code. So it's like you become a part of that yearly conversation. Speaking of, there's one for you.
Okay.
Who are you rooting for on Saturday? And do you care?
I think I'm annoyed by the amount of K-State love there is because I don't believe Kansas State is criticized nearly like they should be for letting Will Howard go, or basically forcing Will Howard out the door to get Avery Johnson in. And there's a lot of Avery Johnson love when he hasn't done, I know he did a ton in Lubbock, Texas that one night, but he hadn't done just a whole heck of a lot at this level yet. And Kansas State went 5-4 in the league last year. Yet everybody kind of just brushes over that because it's Kansas State and we expect consistency, and they've earned it. But I've been a little annoyed by the love for Kansas State. So I will say I'm rooting for Iowa State in that game, and I personally think Kansas State is not going to be as good as a lot of people think and be at the top of this league. I think they'll be about 8-4 again, like they were last year. You?
So what I hear you saying is you're rooting for the people that tried to ban tortillas in Lubbock, Texas.
I'm not going to root for the A-frame cap that Matt Campbell has going. That's always going to bother me, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, these are two teams that are I don't have just a ton of Big 12 hatred for. They're towards the bottom of the list when it comes to Big 12 hate. But
Okay. All right.
so you're rooting for K-State?
I don't know. I don't know if I've made my mind up there yet.
There are a lot of games where I go into thinking I'm going to root one way or kind of indifferent,
Well,
and then we get in there and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I'm definitely rooting for this team. Once you're
I'm just as guilty of rooting against somebody as I am for somebody.
sure,
Yeah.
sure,
But yeah, that one's I've tried to think about it and tried to localize it. Like, how does this affect Texas Tech? It's just, it's a massive game, and like I feel like we're,
yeah.
we're just like it hadn't even really started yet. So,
I mean, it's not eliminating anybody from the Big 12 championship, but
no, it's
it
not. But
it gets close already in
yeah.
week zero because you can afford, we talked about it, but you can afford maybe two losses in this league. And
Well,
one of those two
I
contenders
mean,
is going to have one walking away.
BYU couldn't afford two losses in the conference last year.
Nor could Colorado. Both were
Colorado.
7-2,
Yeah.
seven and
Yeah.
two. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wrapping up, going back to that other thought that you were talking about the future of Texas Tech or whether this is a this year push for the title. I think at if it would have stopped with, hey, you went all in on this portal class and it was all about this year uh, with Texas Tech in the news, then I think that would be more of a okay, they're pushing for this year. But with the news of Oho and Damian Guyton and all of these high school guys that you're pushing towards, I think that shows you that you are trying to be relevant and I mean toward at the top of this league in the future
Oh yeah.
for,
Yeah, I
for
think
time to
that's
come.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you will continue to look for advantages within whatever rules that
right.
they offer up, or if you're allowed to go back to the way it was, or allowed to spend more. I mean, I think yeah, you'll continue to try to stay very relevant for sure.
We'll have one more football question, then a couple of non-football questions. This one we've gotten a few times already this summer, but Level, maybe your answer has changed on it. But it says who are a couple of players that aren't getting enough attention heading into the season for Tech? This feels like a question every other week or so.
Yeah, I mean, and I know some of the coaches have gotten these questions in media settings as well. It's hard to answer just because there's so many guys that have gotten attention
Yeah,
and deservedly so. How about if I give you an obvious?
sure.
How about if I give you one that is staring everybody right in the face and maybe isn't getting enough attention? I don't know if people really grasp what you have at middle linebacker.
Okay.
I think Jacob Rodriguez may be an answer.
Isn't that crazy? The
And
Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
yes, he's the Big 12 preseason defensive player of the year. I think Jacob Rodriguez is a NFL player. I think that those numbers when it's like when he played in games versus when he didn't, and the win-loss record is pretty
Sure.
different.
Hmm.
I would hope that would be, we don't have to ever see that again.
Right.
But also, I think that's very real as it relates to him.
Sure.
And yet he's kind of, we're focused on all the new pieces or schemes or, whatever. And he hasn't been, he was listed as a second team All-American the other day by one outlet preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, you hadn't had a lot of the guys like that on the defensive side of the ball. And yet, I don't know, maybe, I mean, have you seen a lot of chatter?
No, no.
It's a lot about your defensive line and all the new things.
And that's
But
natural, like to
sure,
gravitate towards what's
yeah,
new. So I get it, but I think that's I don't think that's a bad answer. I mean,
yeah,
it's true. Like as good as he was, and will be, I mean, he still isn't necessarily getting all the attention. And he's not a guy that commands a lot of attention either, or
no.
demands. He's just it's not his personality.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to a couple of non football questions. Mike asked, do you think Tech's baseball program will rebound and get back to the Big 12 championship or College World Series level of success?
Well, I mean that's yeah. The latter part is the toughest one. It's like I will tell you that, in other words, they start going back to Omaha regularly is the way that's another way of saying the last part of what you just asked. I do think they have modernized a bit over the last several months.
Hmm.
I think it will take some time.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to have the resources available to really go in deep there, but they are modernizing a bit with some portal activity and the way that they're identifying. I think that
Yep.
is a positive, but they're unfortunately they've just this is what Tech basketball was for so many years. You were just kind of average. Like good enough to do this, but like, could you sustain it and really not, that they just kind of dropped a bit and it's been fairly sudden. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
agree with everything you're saying. You brought in pitching coach and pitching coordinator, so to speak, where you're using analytics and systems
Well,
a lot more than you did in the past.
but
And
you're also using some outside
yes,
outside analytics as well, similar
correct.
to what your football and basketball programs are using, which I don't think was being done before. So,
Yeah, so it's a
um,
different approach.
yeah,
But I'm with you. I wouldn't expect immediate success this year. I'd be glad to take it, but I do think you made these adjustments to try to be better moving forward and maybe recruit with it as well in the future.
yeah.
Um, all right, one more question. This one comes from Leah. Is there a downside to C4 playing with Eurobasket this summer? I know he's not currently working with the Tech team.
If he gets hurt, yes. If not, no, none whatsoever. I
Okay.
mean, that's the only concern is he's young enough. I don't worry about, he's still got plenty of time to kind of hit the reset button and he's just different, man. And he's a guy that is just he doesn't need the time. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't need the time with his teammates, but being able to do it at that level is only good. I mean, he's playing against Luka Doncic like a couple of weeks ago, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Like, how is that
Sure.
bad for him?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, and there'll be a little, but he's so good and smart with his feel for the game. He will quickly pick up, and he's been here at times, and so it's not like he hasn't been around his teammates at all. But if anything, let me spin it this way. It may be good that they are working on other things and options from a ball handling standpoint and giving those guys reps in the continuity, whether it's Nolan
Sure.
Groves or now Jalen Petty or
Sure.
Lawan Watts. And so you're getting much more of that than you previously would have. So that standpoint, that's actually a very good thing.
Do you see a potential for Christian Anderson to make a jump the same level that we saw from the freshman to sophomore season from Jarrett Culver?
I think he could potentially. I'm just gonna put it out there, man. I think he's potentially either is or close to first team all conference, and
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last year here. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
And
That
I'm
would be,
not saying that he's going to be either one. I just would not rule it out.
yeah. All right.
I think he's that good.
I do too. That's why I asked, because I think you could see a similar type of jump, and I think Anderson at least was used more in his freshman year, a little bit more
And
than
Culver
JC
was, yeah.
was. Yeah. So, all
Yeah,
right, level. Oh, go ahead.
they're going to put the ball in his hands 28 to 32 minutes a night, and they're going to say, go figure it out. And he's going to run a ton of pick and rolls with JT Toppin. You're going to
Mhm.
have 40% 3-point shooters spread around the perimeter, and it's going to be a pain for people to deal with. He's going to make the right read. He's going to be a plus defender. Um, I mean, it's just like that's a scary group to try to defend, and I
Sure.
think we'll be better on defense. But Christian is like, now that we've kind of gone through this and you've kind of realized, okay, he's going to be the primary guy, and
Mhm.
we've seen some of this with Germany and some of the things he's done this summer. I think it's like you can just tell him this is what we need from you. Like, I got it. There'll be no drama. He'll play extremely hard every time he's out there. He'll play very smart. He will figure it out. There may be times where it's like, okay, but eventually he will figure it out. This is just who he is. And I think these overseas opportunities are speeding that process up with how to see the game, and he's putting himself on the professional radar for sure.
Yeah. No doubt. A lot to be excited about there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Also, a lot to be excited about because football season is back and we'll have football this weekend. We'll be within game week next time we talk level. So, looking forward to it. Enjoy your last week as a free man. I love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Heart emojis
Yeah.
for our man Woodman and all the people out there. Yeah. You got some NFL preseason into this week. You got a
Yep.
couple, three Big 12 teams playing on Saturday. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we should start to get ramped up here, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited that it's finally here. I'm kind of ready for the talk to stop. Keep your fingers crossed. You don't hear anything bad out of a lot of your favorite pro or college team, because really only news that comes out now is bad. And so, it's just, but it's still like, I feel like we still have, depending on when you're consuming this show, we're still what, 12, 13 days away. So it
Yeah.
still feels like a long time away. But
Yeah.
once we get going, we'll be in it quick.
No doubt. Chris, we'll talk to you next week. For Chris
Okay,
Level,
sounds good.
for Chris Level, I'm Choice Woodman. This has been the Ask Level podcast brought to you by Double T 97.3.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3.